Going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Sports to the Wire. For those of you who are actually new to the show, I am your host, as always, Rashid White, and my co-host, as always, basketball analyst extraordinaire, Barrick Burrell, is in the house today.
What's up, guys? What's going on?
All right, as everyone can actually see with the title there, that what's his name, Mr. Ham, DARVIN HAM is actually introduced as the Lakers head coach, and then there's a lot of excitement, and we're going to see what he can actually do with Westbrook. But Barrick, take us off over here, man. Let me get all these articles and audios and press cut, all this stuff queued up. Go ahead, man. Take us off, brother.
Well, I mean, they introduced their new head coach, DARVIN HAM, and Rob Pelinka and Jenny Buss. They basically went through a nice, lengthy interview of his plans with the team. And what is his plan? Well, I'm going to make the most out of Russell Westbrook. That's my plan. I'm going to make him a harder defensive player, and I'm going to make him a road dog. I'm going to make this guy somebody that he hasn't been in a while, and he's getting a little confused as to why people still kind of write him off. Well, you're writing him off because he hasn't been playing to his capabilities the last couple of years, whether he was in Washington or last year in L.A. I mean, the guy couldn't even hit a barn. So now here we are looking at him and then obviously trying to figure out a way in which to get AD more in space and make him more of a 5, not a stretch 5 or stretch 4, but try to make him more of a low post player. And maybe that minimizes the ability to getting hurt and things of that nature. I don't know if this is the long-term plan, but I know this is something you're going to have to tell the people when you get hired that is the plan for now. And I'm going to tell you something. You still have the same exact roster. You can change the head coach. You can change the assistant coaches. What can you do to get whatever's left out of Russell Westbrook? What can you do to get AD to stay healthy? We know what LeBron can do. All right? He had from 0.4 down. The rest of this entire unit has to be retooled. And you just can't do it with these heavy contracts you have. So it's going to be interesting on what DARVIN HAM can do. But DARVIN HAM's a very intelligent coach. He's put himself into a situation where he's learned how to coach. He won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks last year as an assistant coach. So he's got a little taste of what it takes to go out and win a championship. I think he's a hot young coach. Give him a shot. But he is stepping into a situation where any other coach would love to say, can I retool this team? Is there financial flexibility? Right now, that's not the case. He's got to take on the very same team he had last year. But Russell Westbrook is his number one player.
This is some of the criteria. I had the article that I was actually looking for. All right, so this is some of his things that he wants to do next year. And this is something that Westbrook has never been great at, even in his prime years, but Ham's commitments to defense, and which is actually key because the East is going to be a beast next year, and the West is going to be that much better. You'll have a healthier Golden State Warriors team to start the season. I mean, there's going to be a lot of issues. So defense over here. Second is actually the head scratch over here, and I'm scratching my head. Westbrook's fit with the team. So that's the key thing. Is he willing to actually come off the bench? But then if he does come off the bench, you have to have the right supporting cast that can actually work with him.
Right now, you don't have the supporting cast. Like I previously mentioned, from spot number 4 on down, you just don't have enough to sit back and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. You're talking about a team that basically ranked 26th in defense last year. That's not good. So no wonder he's coming out and saying there's a commitment to defense. All right. They stumbled right out of the gate last year, bro. You look at the fact that the further this team went, the worse their defense became. They relied on fast breaks, quick shots, the whole schmoo, and none of it worked out. So now he's like, well, we're going to take more time and introduce defense. I'm not saying Westbrook can't play defense. He's just never been great at it. LeBron James can D up. AD can D up a little something.
Yeah, what LeBron is 30, it's going to be 39 years old. and he's not going to come running out the gates playing defense, man. It's going to take him time to really kind of get his legs warmed up. I mean, he's a vet right now. And these guys, he's really kind of trying to save himself for the playoffs. Now, let's touch on Anthony Davis. Now, they're saying in this CBS article that I actually have pulled up over here, Anthony Davis at the center of it all. Now, this is the biggest, at least you know with Westbrook. I'm getting out of Westbrook. He's going to compete. Anthony Davis, I'm not sure, man. He doesn't want to play the 5. And then at the 4, I mean, can he be a really true stretch 4? Because he's not the greatest 3-point shooter. He's a good 3-point shooter. I guess, was it like 35, 36%? Probably a little bit lower than that. We got to go look at those numbers.
Well, I mean, personally, if you might want to make him a stretch 5. Like I said, Darvin Ham's idea was to keep him in the paint. I don't think keeping him in the paint is going to keep him healthy. You know, he's very frail, man. I think if you keep him outside and have him pop, pick and roll, that type of thing, that might be more of his game. And I'm hoping that Darvin Ham will do that. His health is the key right now. Forget about his skill level. This guy has
you have a healthy Anthony Davis.
Right.
Is he really the guy? I mean, think about all the players in the NBA. You're definitely going to start a team. How many players will you actually choose over Anthony Davis right now? Even the healthy AD.
But we can't go there right now. We can't go. I hear what you're saying, but we can't go there right now.
It's like, they said when Davis is healthy, he has the ability to play like one of the best players in the league. I just don't see the impact that
his skill set, size, and versatility is probably what you're talking about for his size. So the bottom line is this, my brother. If you know there's certain things that he can still bring to the table, my guess is to make him a stretch 5. Keep him outside the paint. Pick and roll, pop, that type of thing. This will keep him healthier longer. You're gonna have to spell him here and there, but playing him in the paint full time to me is not the answer.
I think you're kind of bailing them out. I mean, you're bailing them out, bailing the defense out if you actually have Anthony Davis sitting on the outside just shooting jumpers, man. I mean, with his size and
I'm not saying shooting jumpers. I'm saying pick and pop. He don't have to be behind the 3-point line. The bottom line is if you want him to play under, he definitely has length on a defensive acronym side, but at the same time, we're not talking about what he can and cannot do in the on the low post. You're talking about keeping this man healthy. Darwin's job is to keep this man healthy. How can you do that? You want to keep him in the paint all season long? He's going to be done by game 30. He's got to come out the paint. He's got to move around a little bit. I hear what you're saying, but, health has not been on AD's side. You got to find a way to keep this man healthy. You got to find a way to get the best out of Westbrook.
He's not in the gym. He just does the bare minimum, just enough to actually kind of stay on the floor and just get through a game. But he's not like in tip-top condition, like LeBron type like condition in the sense, though. When he was in his prime, he's just not going to do all the extra things right there. And I don't know. I mean, if you got to push buttons just to get this man to actually, maybe Ham can actually do that. I would like to see Doc Rivers. I mean, you see what he did with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid was the same way. Wasn't taking it as seriously, but now you see he's committed diet-wise, getting rest. I don't know. We got to see, man. I mean, time tells everything. What do you think, man? I mean, if you got to push Anthony Davis's buttons, man, just to get him to go, like tease him. Oh yeah, street clothes. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't see it.
Well, when you look at this squad, bro, this is what you have. You got LeBron, you got Russell. Remember, you got Avery Bradley coming off the bench. You got DJ Augustine. You got Carmelo, like I mentioned. Anthony, Dwight Howard, Malik Monk. Taylor Horton Tucker, a guy I like. You have this particular type of roster. And this is a roster that finished 33 and 49 because your main components were often injured. But this is what you're coming back with.
All right, so let's listen to Darvin Ham And let's see what he actually has to say about Russell Westbrook coming off the bench or not.
Darvin, one, I guess we've spoken to Russ Westbrook, and two, has there been any discussion among you guys about maybe a change of role for him and coming off the bench? And for Rob, after what you saw last season, talking to Darvin, what made you think, what this is a workable situation with Westbrook?
Yeah, I would say yes. Russ and I have had some really, really great one-on-one combos, man. And the biggest word I think came out of those discussions were sacrifice. That was the biggest word, sacrifice. We're going to sacrifice whatever we got to do. And it's not just Russ. It's on the sacrifices that LeBron has to make, the AD has to make, on down the line for the rest of our roster.
All right. I mean, the only way this is really truly going to work, since you have, if you can't play Westbrook and Anthony Davis together, since both of them are actually good shooters, and Westbrook is not. You have to have Westbrook on the ball all the time, and LeBron and Anthony Davis has to play off the ball and space the floor. That's the only way it's going to work. And LeBron James, if you really want this to work, and I think you're going to have to do this because you're stuck with him. Hey, you wanted him now. You actually wanted him. You wanted this man to actually be there. So that's the only way it's actually going to truly work is if LeBron and Anthony Davis plays totally off the ball in a catch and shoot position. But other than that, I mean, what do you think about that, Derek? Since Westbrook can't shoot, you can't play him at the two because two guards need to actually be able to shoot.
Well, at this point in time, it's going to be up to Darvin Ham and how he figures this into the equation. I mean, right now off the rip, you're going to make some kind of a what we call you're going to have to basically just dip and dive with everything. Okay, let's start the season off with him at the point, with Steph at the point. Not Steph, I'm sorry, Russell at the point. See if that works itself out. If it doesn't, then you're going to have to go other routes. Yeah, DJ Augustine. I mean, DJ Augustine going to be a starter, but he is a point guard that's on the roster. You might want to give him some minutes early, see what he can do, and then have Russell play the two. But, I just don't know where Russell is right now. Remember, his head was kind of screwed up from what happened last season. This thing didn't work. They weren't believing.
You get them into rehab. So he used the word sacrifice. He used the word sacrifice. And if a person, it's like, all right, with a drug addict in a sense, right? Yeah, you could throw him into rehab, force him in there, like how they did Pookie, But if it's not something they truly want to do, there's going to be a regression now, man. So I don't think sacrifice is not in Russell Westbrook's DNA.
Yeah, well, I'm going to tell you something right now. It's going to have to be. I mean, listen. You're talking about trying to beef up these guys and get them to buy into something. That's a coach's job, to get them to buy in, to get these guys rough riding, to get these guys hyped and ready to rock and roll. This is what you get them to do. This is what you need them to do because you don't have any other way to go. You'll have the trading deadline. You're going to be right back where you were. Russell Westbrook's contract is expensive. We know what LeBron is. We know what AD is. So you're trying to figure out, okay, it's going to be hard to make any kind of moves. So let's do what we can to get into the psyche of these guys and get them to do something more, or at least something close to more.
They were healthy. If you had three of these guys for 75 to 80% of the season, the Lakers are actually making the playoffs. I mean, the AD was injured. Injured a good chunk of the season. And you're asking Westbrook to try to carry a team, and especially a bad team. So with guys who practically are probably G leaguers in a sense. So they'll make the playoffs. Even with the way if they don't make any kind of changes or sacrifices, they'll actually make the playoffs. But it will still be a first round exit though. If and Darvin said it right, you got to sacrifice. But sacrifice is not in Westbrook's DNA.
Yeah, but what we're talking about is what he's been able to do. I mean, it's hard. What you're saying is when a player has played mentally a certain way his whole career, it's pretty much almost impossible to get him to switch over. But you have to recognize the situation. The situation is you had a defensive-minded coach where you guys were down a dead last in basketball on defense, and he's gone. You guys couldn't stay healthy. You were unproductive. So, you're not at liberty right now. So they say, well, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to buy in this. I'm not going to buy into that. You got no choice if you're Russell Westbrook. If this is what he needs you to do, then brother, you got to do it.
You're right. This is his last stop. This is his last stop. I think if it doesn't work this time around, I mean, he's out the NBA.
Well, you know what? There's always going to be somebody looking for Russell Westbrook services, but the more he goes downward, the less the people are going to expect of him. I mean, you've been traded to the Los Angeles Lakers. You're playing alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, with a supporting staff including Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard. I mean, it's not going to scare you. It's a bunch of older guys, and they're now a year older than what they were last year. So it's to a point and a detriment of what more you think you can get out of this team. So DARVIN Ham is handling that press conference 100% right. He said everything right. He pushed all the right buttons. Whether or not it plays on the court for 82 freaking games is an entirely different story.
I mean, it's a lot of PR stuff. I mean, there's some serious issues with the team that he's not even saying. And they're gaslighting the fans, man, the Lakers fans. I don't know.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. If there was a good time to gaslight somebody, this would be the best time to do it, because I'll tell you something. The Lakers fans are smart enough to know when they're getting, thrown the phony jab, and they're smart enough to know that this coach is coming in here saying it because I got to do something that's going to inject life into the team. I don't blame him for taking that route. So we shall see. I think at the end of the day, DARVIN Ham is probably going to do the best with less, in a sense, and get this team playing more competitively during next season. I don't know if that's going to translate to a lot more wins and less.
They'll get more wins. I mean,
but,
Anthony Davis can be somewhat consistent, and LeBron, we'll see. I mean, like I said, LeBron is going to wait 25 games in. He's not going to come running out the gates, man. He's 39. He suffered some injuries, so he's not coming out. He's not coming running off the gates. Anthony Davis is going to have to really play like Anthony Davis, and maybe DARVIN will light a fire under his ass. We'll actually see, man. Maybe I don't think a fire is going to work. It's going to have to be a volcano, man. Volcanic eruption. All right, we went way over, man. We like to try to keep these 7 minutes over here, man. We were at 18-something minutes over here. Wow. Woo, man. So we will wrap
it. It's a lot to talk about the Lakers, bro.
Absolutely, man. We probably should have done a 2-part joint on this. But all right, so if you like the video, please like, comment, subscribe, certainly share. Let us know in the comment sections. I mean, will the Lakers actually be relevant this year? I mean, what can they do? I mean, no draft picks. I mean, there's a lot of issues going on over here. A lot of egos, especially with upper management. And we'll actually see what happens here. Can upper management actually take a sacrifice? As it say, stay out of the way and let DARVIN Ham kind of do his thing.